Welcome to FCC Supporter Square, the show for fans, by fans, and about fans. Here are your hosts, Mark Suppin and Matt Warman.
Welcome once again to FCC Supporter Square. I am your host, Matt Warman. With me is my co-host. I guess it's this way, or is it this way? I'm not sure. But there he is, Mark Suppin. How are we doing, Mark, in this rainy week in Cincinnati?
Well, the fact that I'm not talking to you outside is an improvement already. How are you, sir? Staying dry as best I can.
If I had feathers, I'd be okay, but I don't have feathers, so I'm staying inside.
That's cool.
I think we've had a total of about 15 minutes of non-rain this week, and I got
Yeah,
a brief walk in just to feel like I've gotten out of the house.
right.
So we had a not so great result in Minnesota. We're going to get into that, and then we've got an interesting Sunday night uh, piece. So we'll just kind of jump into what we saw and what we didn't see and what we liked and what we didn't like and all that good stuff. So Mark, you watched the game, I would imagine, and what were your thoughts watching the great matchup in Minnesota?
Um, if I could just put it in a word, uninspiring. Um, you just didn't see urgency out of the club, and it showed. If you're going to tell me, that playing in a very, very cold environment when all you've played in is warm environments, save the, Atlanta match. Of course, that was chilly, but this was, getting down to bitter cold. But it's kind of not an excuse, but you have to look at it nonetheless. You just saw a team that maybe was just not ready for that environment, and I don't know what else to say about it. I thought easily, we would have the upper hand, the front foot. It just never materialized, never did. And they got a good goal, out of it, and you got to give them credit for that. But certainly, it just didn't show, what we've seen, when we played Atlanta and even the Concacaf matches. Did not see any of that up there in Minnesota, and it was a way different team than I've seen already this year. So I just hope they have um, brain like a goldfish, and and TQL is going to be a rocking place come this Sunday.
I'm going to have the minority view because a lot of people that I've read have the same sentiment you had. Certainly, and I'm not saying I completely disagree because particularly the last 20 minutes of the game, they had absolutely no urgency and it was driving me insane. They looked like the better team for at least the first 25, 30 minutes. They couldn't really finish. It looked to me, if this is my opinion, and I know it's the minority opinion, but it looked like they were overconfident. They looked like they knew that they were the better team. One of the things that I noticed last year, and the difference between this game and the Atlanta game is Minnesota just put all 11 players back. They just
Mm,
parked. They played. They
yep.
played. They were going to play shelter, bunker, and counter kind of football. We had some opportunities in both halves, but particularly in the first half, I felt like and this is kind of weird, but this is what I saw, was that they were oversharing. You get
Yeah.
in a dangerous space and you would try to make that last easy pass. If we could just make that little cross to the back post, it'll be an easy goal.
Right.
Well, that's fine, but there's three or four players between you and the person you're trying to send it to. You got to take the shot. If you're in a dangerous position, take a shot. Occasionally, you might want to shoot outside the 18 just to loosen things up a little bit, just to make sure that you don't want to be taking all the shots outside the 18, but you need sometimes, if you got an open shot, you got to pull the trigger and not make that extra pass. It's a fine line between passing too much and not passing enough, and I felt like they were trying to be very nice to one another, which is fine. And
Yeah.
that was my thought. Um, that that goal, the whole goal piece, kind of frustrated me. I didn't think Dado fouled the guy. He tried to simulate. If you look at
Mm,
the replay, he
yeah,
literally doesn't touch him, but he's close enough. I'm not saying the ref made a bad call. It's just it is what it is. But he clearly didn't foul him. He was just in position to make it look like a foul, and that's what he did. That's got to be 100% on Celentano. That's his job to set up the
mm,
wall. And
yeah,
if somebody is not in position, that's his job to get them in position. But that being said, that's a seeing eye. He hits that a quarter of an inch
mm,
wider. It hits the post and goes
yep,
goes. That was not the plan. Was to hit it off the post and get a rebound, a header rebound. Also, he had it covered. If he just stood his ground instead of diving for it, that header goes right to his chest, and that's not a goal either. So it was a
yep,
seeing eye goal. So there was no at no point did I see Minnesota challenging them or really giving them any kind of defensive struggles. They had
yeah,
it pretty much just nailed down. It was they have a couple of shots that were wild and wide, and but there was no dangerous chance. They weren't taking it to our midfield or our defense. They were just playing back, and it said, "Go ahead and try to score if you can score in front of 6 or 8 people."
yeah,
So when you see you park the bus, that's what that was the preferred method to play us last year was put 11 back, see if we can't get a counter chance and see if we can't get one because uh, we weren't producing in the final third, and it looked
yeah,
like splitting the points once the second half started. Uh, that was just and we had opportunities, but
yeah.
when you say the lack of urgency, I want to because I everybody has said that, and I have my opinion as well. But what did you see by lack of urgency?
Well, I've seen this team, really, they can break a press, and that they showed that against Atlanta, who pressed. And I just thought I would see that same type of quickness with the ball. Let the ball do the work and not the feet. But it just seemed to be a little more in slow motion. So I guess that's where my urgency comes from. Is I just didn't see that you know quick movement and quick passes. I just think the whole scenario was just not meant for what their wheelhouse is, and I think it exposed them. So the urgency thing is just where I come off with that. It may not be urgency; it just may be they just didn't snap passes the way I thought we'd do, and that's where I'm coming from with it. It just you can't take a team that is as stocked as this and say we're not going to score a goal. And Minnesota, I thought we had the upper hand on them, and that's what made that it just gave you more questions as to really what happened. So that's where I'm coming from with it.
Well, honestly, I mean, they were very methodical with their passes, and it's
Yeah,
hard, right? So what are you going to do with a team that has talent and speed on the wings? You're going to play four back, five back.
hmm,
All 11 were behind midfield when we had the ball.
yeah,
They didn't press. As a matter of fact, as we did, I watched it many times. As we advanced it from our defensive third, they backed up. They backed
yeah,
up. They backed up. They compacted things. It's harder to make those passes. You have to be patient. Sometimes we weren't patient last year. Sometimes we were thinking too much. I
hmm,
didn't think we saw a whole lot of that. I'm not a huge fan of kicking it back to the keeper, but at least if you're going to kick it back to the keeper, you gotta bring it back on the other side faster and try to catch them as they're moving their players. If you're going to
yeah,
pass it back, they're not going to come up. They're staying where they are. They're like, go ahead.
yeah,
My key part was the last 20 minutes of the game. You're down a goal. You're chasing a goal. Yes, there was 11 minutes of stoppage time. The last 30 seconds, you have the ball at midfield. and you know time is running out, you've got a clock in your head. As all players know, there's a clock in your head, and you know that once you're in extra time, you're not sure where it is, but you can get a sense that it's not going to be, another 5 minutes. That they pass it back to the keeper, and that's when he blows the whistle because we weren't. They were going to give us one more chance, not we were going to score necessarily, but they're not going to blow that whistle if we're in any kind of attacking position, and we just lethargically kicked it back to the keeper, and that's when the whistle blew. That just drove me crazy. I was yelling at the screen, "Come on,
Yeah.
this time you gotta go, you gotta go."
Yep.
Um, so they got into dangerous places. They just didn't know how to shoot or finish, right? So
Yeah.
the other thing that I'm not seeing that I saw more maybe 2 years ago was taking on players one on one more. When
Mm.
you're in the defensive third, it's a one on one situation.
Yes.
Um, that's what gives you a lack of urgency. Is that they were like, okay, that no, they shut me off. I'll just pass it back, and we'll kick the ball around. We'll go to the other wing, pass it back, see if we can beat that guy. Well, no, they're going to
Yeah.
bring in two. That's fine. If they're going to double team you, that means somebody's open. You got to keep passing the ball, but you got to be quick. You got to be fluid, and you also have to take the shot. So sometimes they would move the ball in or make the pass the wing into the 18, and then some of those shots are sharp angles, but you still have to take a shot. I know it's
You're right.
Calendar. I know he's a great keeper, but if you take a shot and he only gets a hand on it, we've got two or three people that can poach that ball on the back of the net. If you're going to try to force across three defenders, it's not going to work 99 times out of 100.
Yeah.
Even the cutback passes, they had it kind of back. So they were just moving their whole defense there. And when you break between the lines or between the holes and you're inside the 18, you got to let it go.
Hmm.
Uh, I didn't see them do that. I think they were being overconfident
Yeah.
and over generous.
For sure. For sure. Excellent points.
So what did you think about Dado's play, right? So he was really good in the Atlanta game. What did you think about his play in this game?
Um, I didn't think he did bad. Um, Honestly, I think he's come in for Evander and played pretty well. You can't replace Evander. Let's just get that out of the way. Um, he's just going to still show quickness, but he's just going to show some indecision in his play, and I think that came up in a few of the plays. It just didn't really mesh, like we've enjoyed with certain central midfielders that can distribute almost with their eyes closed. We've been spoiled. But Dotto Dotto will belong in the MLS. I mean, if he chooses to stay in MLS, I think he'll grow well, and this is his time to shine. I just didn't see a lot. I didn't see a graduated amount of execution this past match. I just didn't see it. I mean, he had some good feeds, but nothing that really got us to a point where we are going to score a goal. And I don't think he put himself in a way for a goal either. So yeah, it just I don't know. It's just a lot of frustration. And Dotto, you can't blame him. It's just you can't replace Evander, and that's just it.
It's just the learning curve of being a nine. It is the most important piece, and you got to know when to come back
Yep.
and receive the ball. You got to know when you need to make a weighted pass, and you need to know when you can dribble hard and make the defense do something. That's the
Yeah.
one. That's the one thing he didn't play poorly, but
Right.
that's the one thing you have with a Lucho or an Evander is that
Yeah.
if you're going to park the bus, then that gives me opportunity to dribble and pass right through your lines. Because if you're
Yeah.
going to be static, I'm going to get the ball and I'm going to cut at an angle, and then I'm going to either cut it back and make make a nice little high cross so somebody can head from a diagonal.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to sound like right. This is tactic free zone here, but those players create chances for themselves and for others
Right.
by taking the ball and taking it to the defense. That's the one
Correct.
thing there wasn't. I can understand lack of urgency, but I think really what people are trying to say, and I can't speak for people. People, you can definitely disagree with me. I don't, like I said, I don't think I have the majority opinion. Uh, but the what looks like a lack of urgency is really a lack of attack.
Yes.
They were being patient with the ball. They were
Hmm.
possessing the ball. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to find angles. I don't think the movement was there, and maybe it's the temperature, maybe it's the grounds, but they had an opportunity in the first 15 minutes to put one in the back of the net, and
Yeah.
they didn't do it. And then after that,
Exactly.
I thought they should have split the points, and I think everybody would have been okay with splitting the points. Again, a seeing eye goal. That's the way these things go, right?
Hmm.
He hits the post. It bounces right back to a player who may or may not have been offsides. They VAR'd it, so I could accept it. It was one of those where if they called him offsides, I'd be happy with it. They didn't call him offsides, I was still happy with it because
Yeah.
there's no clear and obvious that he was. There's enough evidence to say he was, and there's enough evidence to say he wasn't. So
All
uh,
right.
and again, if Celentano sets up the wall, it goes wide. And if he trusts his wall, he doesn't have to fake dive to do coverage on something that if he just stood there and he had a chance, or at least slid more to the post. So you try to cover that as a keeper. You try to cover that ground, and sometimes you feel like you need to dive, even though you think it's going wide. Just let it go wide.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how we are, and that's soccer. So,
Yeah.
uh,
For sure.
and that's why this game can be frustrating at times. I thought we were still the better team. Like I said, I don't think Minnesota really threatened us in any serious way.
Right.
They had a couple of things here and there. They are a major league soccer team, and so here you go. So let's put Minnesota to bed in the freezer bowl. Let's talk
Yeah.
about a rare Sunday night game for
Yes.
MLS game with Toronto. I checked Toronto. They are 0 points. They've got Mr. Bradley Jr. As head coach, and they've got a lot of young kids and a lot of excitement, and yet they've been giving up a lot of goals, but they have a lot of excitement. So I wouldn't sleep on this team. What are your thoughts on Toronto and what you expect?
Well, I think you needed to be under a rock to not know that Josh Sargent has made his appearance, and I assume he's going to be ready to go. He's probably in really good shape. He rarely, I don't think he's played in the last 2 months from just sort of sitting out over there at Norwich City. Um, at the top of his game, I would say he was one of their prolific scorers this year, starting off, and then you just didn't see him featured anymore. And then you figure out, oh, he's unhappy and he wants to leave. Like, okay, so it's just kind of an odd timing of it all, because I really thought, honestly, I've always seen EFL Championship and MLS is almost equal. We've got lots of players, that came from those environments. Let's see, Justin Hoyt was there. Manu Desma was over at Middlesbrough. Lucas Engel was from Middlesbrough as well. So I've always seen it at that level. So bringing Sargent in, um, honestly, it was just last year where they imploded. They kicked the coach out, kicked the coaching staff out, and they needed to. The whole attitude had to change up there because I read some pretty rough stories from that from that club, and they brought in some quality players, and I think the cherry on top is bringing Sargent in. Just real quick, uh, a couple of interesting little FCC notes. They listed all of the number nines in the history of Toronto FC. And wouldn't you know, way back in 2013, um, a man by the name of Emery Welshman wore the number nine for Toronto FC. He only played in a couple of games. He really didn't feature, but he was there. He was their nine. And then there's a guy that played for him as well. With you, I think his name is Ubasa Endo. And you're like, oh, who is that guy? I have no idea who that guy is. Well, if you look up the history of Nippert Stadium on goals, you're going to find a hat trick by this Endo when he played against FC Cincinnati. Dude just scored at will on us, and I think we won that match 4-3 because I believe we took care of business, even though he got a hat trick. So just a little bit of plug for that. Otherwise, I'm looking for a redemption game this Sunday, and we're gonna put that Minnesota match to bed, and we're onward, and we're gonna get this done this Sunday.
I believe that was the goal that who hit that, the 55 yarder. Well, that wasn't Neppert. That we did that at Toronto. Never mind. That was
Yes.
I can't remember. I see him, but it was like that was in Toronto. Um, yeah, so there was a very interesting stat I heard at the Minnesota game, and I think I kind of knew this, but until you hear it, you go, "Oh, right." We
Hmm.
have never started a season in MLS at 2-0.
Yeah.
We've we've had draws, we've had
Yep.
losses, obviously. Um, we had a loss and a draw our very first season, so it's like it would be so nice to start off with 6 points and see how the rest of it, and then and kind of grow into that. 3 points is okay. If we look at the standings, it's way too early. Please,
Yeah.
it's only match day two for MLS.
Yeah.
But we were 2 points ahead of Columbus, who only has 1 point in two games.
Yep.
Uh, uh, Miami was 45 minutes away from being 0 points, and then
Oh
suddenly
man.
they came to life because Orlando must be terrible at defense. To
Oh,
be up 2-0 and everybody's all excited and then lose 4-2. So we're not. I think the Red Bulls of all teams are have 6 points.
yeah.
Uh, so I'm not worried about it. I know that they've revamped some things. Look, the East is going to be tough, with the exception of maybe Montreal, and even though I wouldn't even say them either, but outside of maybe Montreal, everybody and Toronto's that same thing is that they have 0 points, but that doesn't mean it's gonna be a sha-la-la game where
Right.
every 10 minutes you're chanting. This is gonna be a tough game. It's gonna every game and if you're playing an Eastern foe, it's gonna be a tough game, and that's you gotta bring it. You gotta bring it, Bailey. And I've got a special like announcement for this. Is that this is on Sunday.
Hmm.
Sunday, technically Saturday night. It's Sunday, technically Sunday, but Saturday night at
Yeah.
2 a.m. The clocks change forward. So
Yes.
make sure that you set your clocks forward so you don't miss this game. Although it is a 7 p.m. game and not a 4 p.m. game, so you have ample opportunity to wake up and remember that. But it's going to be a time change, which means we're springing forward. You're going to get a little less sleep. So make sure that your Saturday night happy time is an hour shorter, so you can be well rested and ready to go for 90 minutes plus.
Yep.
So yeah, so they've got. I know that they're playing a lot of kids, and they've got a
Hmm.
new coach. They got a new style, but they're -4 already in after 2 games. So we have an opportunity to uh, not be lackadaisical. I don't think they were, but not be urgent. I think that's the best term. They need to show urgency, even if they're up 2-0. They need to show a bit of urgency. That doesn't mean rush, 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 rush. But that doesn't mean, okay, they're playing back, so we're just going to have to sit and think about where we want to go. Keep moving, keep passing, keep getting move the ball side to side, be aggressive with possessing the ball. I think that's where we need to be. What do you
Mhm.
think is your keys to Sunday night's game?
Well, I think our key has to be defense. Um, you see a team that is at 0 points, but that they're coming in hungry. They're going to see us, not getting the result we wanted in Minnesota and trying to capitalize on that. But it's got to start on the defense. It's got to start with a lockdown, uh, just suffocating. Don't let them breathe anywhere near the final third. And that's what's got to happen. And it puts a lot of pressure on our defense, but they have to be up for the job because otherwise we know what we're going to get from our midfield that I believe is probably one of the strongest midfields in the Eastern Conference. I really believe that. If Evander returns, we have Naboto, we have Buka, we have Gidi, and and Nunga possibly. Uh, I'm happy with where we are in the midfield. It's just whatever happens with how they distribute from the midfield to our strikers. It's got to happen. It's got to happen with sending Echenike, getting Denke the ball to feet. That has to happen, but it's got to start with our defense. And Josh Sargent might be a World Cup invitee. Certainly, we have ours in Miles Robinson, and I look for the captain to captain a strong defense this Sunday.
I think I haven't looked at the weather, but I would say I would put some
50s.
money on rain because, as far as I can tell, the rains are going to be coming through at least the middle of next week. So that
Yeah,
means it's probably going to be a rainy Champions Cup. But we're not going to talk about Tigres yet. We'll talk about that. Or maybe we just touch on it slightly. I, I think it's a little too far out. I really want to see them play Sunday. I think their focus should be on this game. As long as Evander shows up, Dado is a fine replacement.
yeah,
He is your at this point, right? So I think the one thing that got him in trouble is that he would take on two or three defenders. Now I said you got to challenge people, but once you beat somebody, you got to make that pass, or move into space and make the pass, make somebody commit. But he would like to try to dribble through two or three people. Sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. I mean, he was mentored by Lucho, and he watched Lucho a lot, and he was trying to do a lot of Lucho things, but he's not quite
yeah,
Lucho. He's only 21 or
yeah,
22. He'll get there, but he's I would put him as if you put him on the DC United team or Real Salt Lake or Austin, right? He would be just in there in that mix, and he'd say, he's got his moments and he's going to stir the drink, but he's not a Vander, and that's what we need. I think that's what we need, and I think that's where uh, watching Evander sometime and working and playing with Evander for a couple more weeks.
yeah,
I think Evander has to come back. If it's serious, then they should have said it's serious. If it's not serious, it's just like Matt Miazga. Everybody's like, when is he showing up? I thought he
yeah.
was ready to go. Well, he
Right.
had he had some fluid drain and he didn't play any preseason, but he's really close. Okay, well, this is week 3. Is he coming? Is he going to be in? Is he even going to be on the 18? I want to
Yeah.
know. You
Yep.
can't say, well, he's close and then not. This is what we had the problem with last year. The key part between this year and last year is that I think Hadebe is playing a much better than he did last year. I think Flores can come in for 10 minutes and play. There were times where he was, because he's young as well, making mistakes. Hagelin is still Hagelin. He
Yeah.
he had to run down there was one little breakaway in the Minnesota game where he had to run down and
Yes.
basically force force one shot that was easily handled by Celentano.
Right.
Uh, because he didn't give him any options, and he ran him down. But Miles Robinson is class, and that's why without Miazga, we're not worried about where our defense is, and
Exactly.
we have so many people that we can rotate in and out. We just gotta get a little more cohesive and kind of do this. So, any final thoughts and score forecast from you?
Well, first off, forecast, we do have a high of 65 on Sunday. So I'm looking forward to a wonderful match environment. Hopefully, in the 60s throughout the match, and that would be amazing. What I'm hoping for is a solid 2-1 victory for FCC. Um, I just see it working for us, and if they do get a goal, it will be probably some small feat. I don't see any major golazos or uh, world class, or they call them worldies. None of them. But 2-1, I'd say it's going to be a solid 3 points for us on Sunday.
I'm going to go with 3-0. I know they're young, but they seem
Yeah.
to be giving up a lot of goals. And yes, Josh Sargent is in, but he also has to, as a midfielder, you also have to play a little bit of defense. And if you're
Yep.
not sure where everybody is, and nobody knows where you are just yet, your positioning might be great for taking a shot. I see something along the lines of Josh Sargent taking a shot, it getting blocked, and then we counter back quickly for a goal. Let's see if I'm right on that. That's what I think. Um, I have some thoughts, but non-football thoughts because we are running a little low on time. Um, First off, I did mention the Copa 71 piece.
Yes.
I have all of that information. I took a picture of the poster. I'll be putting that on our Facebook page, our X page, and our Blue Sky page to get that out there, to get that word out. So rather than try to reiterate all of that stuff, but it is on a Monday at 5. But I'll have it all out there. But second, and more importantly, is on Saturday the 14th is the Cincinnati St. Patrick's Day Parade.
Yep.
Um, Yours truly may or may not be there. My wife has an event in Columbus. I don't know if I can get back in time, but if I do, I will definitely be honorary capo. That I like to do. I'm used to walking backwards a mile at a time. My calves can more than take it and scream and yell
Yeah.
for an hour. It's one of my fun things. Uh, the only thing you may have to worry about is rain, but that's what green
Well,
coats are for. That's what Jameson is for, is to help with the rain. It really does. Uh, I can't tell you how many times JMO has helped me through cold and wet weather. So please, if
agree.
you join us, look at the brigade site because they put stuff out. I'm going to also try to put that on our soc. So look for that. So that means like and subscribe us and follow us on our socials besides
Yep.
just YouTube and Spotify. Follow us on our socials as well so you can get all the latest and greatest information. So we have all of that. And we would love, this is not, if you're not Irish, that's okay. If you're not
Y-
brigade, that's okay. If you like FCC and you like marching and you want to wear green or your FCC gear or both, uh, just come and join us. We always have a great time and we're very welcoming. We don't bite that much. A little nibble here and there, but that's, you get used to it after a while.
Well, a good time is always had by all at the Cincinnati St. Patrick's Day Parade. Uh, get there about 9:45. Start gathering. They'll get moving about 11:45. I see, and that's a little later than we've done in the past, but plenty of time to hang out, enjoy, meet some people, see what other zany Irish folks are doing. You're allowed to be 100% Irish on that day. You're allowed to be. So that's the idea. If you're not Irish, you're allowed to be on that day. So let's go have some fun and let's enjoy that time. Rain, snow, wind, it doesn't matter. It's always a fun time.
I've done it in sunny days. I've done it on like 35 and 30 mile an hour windy days. You have a good time,
Yep.
and it's just like going to the soccer match, right? If it's cold or if it's hot or if it's wet, you're gonna have a good time. Just bring the appropriate gear and we'll make sure that you have a good time. And there's usually a pretty good turnout at the last year, especially, or 2 years ago, especially. There was a lot of people at the parade, so
Yes,
it's a fun time.
for sure, for sure.
So we'll talk about Tigres. We'll probably talk about post game Tigres because I prefer
Yep.
talking more about MLS than that because I don't know what they're going to do or how they're going to play. And quite frankly, I'm more focused on MLS. So we'll get to that. We'll get to the result of that next week,
Hmm.
and then we'll see if I'm right on the counter goal. We'll hopefully no Toronto fans or coaching staff are listening to
Yeah.
me because they obviously listen. Well, any last words before we go?
Yeah, if you saw, FCC posted the League's Cup pool information. Three matches in the month of August, all at TQL Stadium. So I think adding the post World Cup matches, we have a total of five TQL matches in August. So exhaustion might happen, but we play Pachuca, we play um, Pumas, and we play Atlas. So three teams up and down Liga MX table. We certainly know who Pachuca is. They played at TQL in the Club World Cup, so that was neat. So I'm just looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to a busy August at TQL.
It's going to be crazy. It's going to be absolutely insane. Just like we have coming up, 5 games in 14 days starting.
Yeah,
I don't know if it starts on Sunday or if it starts on Wednesday, but it's probably Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday,
it's brutal.
Saturday. That's a lot. So,
Yeah,
anyhow, keep listening, keep liking us. I know we have planned somebody that we talked to a couple of years ago, and due to technical difficulties, we couldn't see him. But I'm hoping to reach out to our friend Paul Thiergardner
yes,
and have him back on to hear what his thoughts are here in 2026. Uh, he is hearing impaired and uses sign language. We didn't have him on because I had it voice activated. Anyhow, we're going to have
yeah,
that on. And if you want to be a guest, please join us as well. We're looking for guests. We're looking for other points of view. Please come and join us because we're just like two dudes hanging out at the bar, having a beer, talking about our team, and
exactly,
just vibing, right? So.
exactly.
So that's all the time we have here on FCC Supporter Square, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching FCC Supporters Square. Please like and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify. The intro song was Disappointed by the Stone Bunnies. The outro song was Awesome Sauce, also by the Stone Bunnies. If you'd like to be on the show or contact us, it is at fcc.supp.square@gmail.com. We'll see you next time.